How did I get in the Marines? Okay. Graduated from high school. I was just made it out with a Regents diploma. And I was accepted to a college on Long Island, a 2-year school. And I didn't think that was a good fit for me. And my parents went on, they took a trip to Europe. And while they were in Europe, a couple of my buddies had decided to go in the Marines, and they talked me into it. And so I enlisted too. And I enlisted for 4 years. And the reason I did that was the recruiter said, well, if you enlist for 2 years, they're just going to teach you which end the bullet comes out of the rifle, and that's about it. But if you enlist for 4 years, they'll give you formal training. And recruiters are notorious for lying. But he didn't. I wound up, after boot camp, I went to San Diego, California, and I was in electronics school from December of 1966 till November of 1967, over 11 months. And they taught me to repair radios. And I then went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for, I think I was there 4.5 months. And then Vietnam. And I spent 19 months in Vietnam. So, repairing radios. The area that I was in was called I Corps. And actually, if you saw a military map, the South Vietnam was divided into 4 corps regions. And they used Roman numerals to identify them. And so ours would have been 1 corps, but it was a lot easier to say I Corps. So that was Da Nang on north, and I was stationed at a place called Hue Phu Bai. And Hue was the former imperial capital of the unified Vietnam. And it's Hue, pronounced Hue. That's just the way it is. But that was I got there toward the tail end of something called the Tet Offensive in 1968. And they were retaking Hue City, street to street, house to house kind of fighting, World War II style fighting. But it was very messy. I did not get involved in that because they really wanted me to fix radios. So that was pretty much what I did. That was one of the VC's target. One of their main targets was radios and corpsmen. I didn't see too many corpsmen with a red cross on their helmet. It was sort of like a target. But the unfortunate thing is radios have antennas, and the antennas tended to be straight. And in the jungle, there are absolutely no straight lines. So if you saw a straight line that said, that's an antenna, and they learned very quickly to identify the antenna type, which meant the radio type, which told them where the radio operator was carrying the radio. So they became targets. So it was, we got a lot of shot up gear. The gear was not as dependable as we would have liked. So the heat and humidity took a toll on it. So it was we had a lot of radios that we worked on. And a lot of the gear that I worked on personally was World War II vintage radios. They actually had vacuum tubes. And you guys, your age, you're looking at me like, what is a vacuum tube? But they actually had little glass tubes in them, and those were the devices that were later replaced by transistors. And now the transistors are replaced by ICs. But we had one radio, a PRC-25, that was all solid state, but the people that worked on those had paid much closer attention in school to the 1 week that we had on solid devices as opposed to the 30 weeks we had on vacuum tubes. The military was smart enough to realize they put an awful lot of money into training us, and we had security clearances, and they really didn't like the idea of our being captured and interrogated and so forth. So yeah, we didn't get into the jungles at all. And really, I Corps didn't have a lot of jungle. It was more like the Adirondacks, kind of very mountainous, hardwoods. I don't think I ever saw any softwood pine tree type, but big trees and underbrush, but not triple canopy jungle. In the southern part of Vietnam, it was triple canopy jungle, and that was brutal. I was very glad I wasn't in the Army. So the Marines stayed up north. But getting outside the base, yeah, occasionally. Contact teams going out to repair radios in the field, and convoys. But that was generally about it. Over there, we'd get hit at night, and they'd hit us with mortars. And mortars are, they make a funny sound. One reason that a lot of veterans don't like fireworks is there's an odd noise that when they shoot the rockets into the air, they make when they come out of the tube, and it's a kind of a dull thud. And that noise absolutely terrifies most veterans, because when you hear that thud, that means that a mortar just got launched, probably at you. And you're not going to hear the mortar itself coming for the most part, but they can land anywhere. And so that was pretty scary. We probably got mortared 4 out of 7 nights a week. And really, they weren't really trying to hit anything. What they would do is it would generally be after midnight, and they would lob 2 to 15 mortars at a base. And I mean, sometimes it was just 1 or 2. The whole idea was just mess people's sleep up, because you don't sleep through a mortar attack. You go to the bunkers. You go to the bunkers, you're wide awake. It just, all they're doing is just harassing you. So after a while, you got to where you come out of the bunkers, go back into bed, and go right to sleep. It was just weird. You're kind of, well, it didn't get me this time. Maybe it'll get me next time. Probably won't.